I can see some of you are already sitting at the last lines, so may I request all of you to please come forward. आगे From day one, day two, we have witnessed amazing support by our diaspora and industry leaders, all the change makers. Thank you for your support throughout the plenary sessions. I request all of you once again to please settle down. We'll be starting the session very soon. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
आउट जाना है तो इसलिए
Less time. We are waiting for the arrival of Honorable Minister, sir. Once you would be here in the House, we would be calling our panelist, moderator, and sir himself on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen. We already have Honorable Minister, sir, inside the hall. It's my honor to welcome all of you to the Plenary Session 3, Green Connections, Diaspora's Contributions to Sustainable Development. In order to start the session officially, we would be seeking the presence of our Honorable Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a thundering round of applause for Shri Ashwini Vaishnav, Honorable Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Information and Broadcasting and Railways. To moderate the session, we require the presence of Shri Pradeep Kumar Das, Chairman and MD, Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, to please come and join us. We request Junior Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade, Government of the Republic of Mauritius, Honorable Mr. Hambirajan Narsingan. With a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome Mr. Rahul Fatedar. He is the founder and CTO of Moro Batteries in Norway. He has been playing a leading role in product strategy, technology development, and strategic partnerships, Norway. Shri Jagdish Nainwal. Jagdish Nainwal is currently working as CEO of UPL for Latam region, which is one of the leading agriculture companies in Latin America by having near to 1 billion revenue. All the way from Mexico. Mr. Indranil Sengupta. He has been working in various business areas for long 30 years and has expertise in the field of energy. He is also the chairman of Indian Business Chambers in Hanoi and has served in Tata Group for long years. His present consultancy venture, Investify, also engages in energy from Vietnam. Mr. Aditya Elapedi from Switzerland, working with the Swiss Biotech Association from 2022 onwards. I request Mr. Aditya Elapedi to please be there on stage. Mr. Jitendra Kumar Sachdeva from Nigeria, Sri Kishore Reddy from Sri Lanka, Ms. Anju Viramani from Canada. Can we welcome our dignitaries on dais with a good round of applause, everyone? Please be seated. This session focuses on how the global Indian diaspora has been actively contributing to sustainable development through innovation, technology, and strategic collaborations worldwide. Sustainability lies at the heart of progress, and today we are privileged to engage with visionaries and pioneers who are leading the charge towards a greener future across diverse industries and regions of the world. We are privileged to have an esteemed chair, a distinguished moderator, and an illustrious set of panel members who bring diverse perspectives from across the globe. Please allow me to introduce our chair. Certainly he needs no introduction, but we are honored to have his presence. Shri Ashwini Vaishnav, Honorable Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Information and Broadcasting and Railways. Our visionary leader, Shri Vaishnav, has spearheaded transformative projects in the fields of technology, communication and infrastructure, making him a guiding force in India's sustainable development journey, everyone. Sir, I would be requesting you to please address our gathering with your opening remarks.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Odisha for this wonderful organization of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. This is indeed a great honor for the entire state and for the 4.5 crore Odiyas to host the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas and organize it in such a nice way, such a efficient and such a very cultural way. I would like to recognize Honorable Deputy Chairman, sir, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, sir. He is present here, Mr. K.V. Singhdeo Saab. Thank you so much for being part of this panel, of this discussion. It's indeed an honor for us. The great experience that Honorable Deputy Chief Minister Saab brings, that's amazing and a very, very practical experience. I welcome all the panelists for the vast experience that you bring here. In my opening remarks, I'd like to focus on 3 points. First point is, if we look at our country's journey towards clean energy, compared with many other geographies, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji focused like a laser sharp focus on increasing the capacity of clean energy production. And today, for a country which is considered as a developing country, having close to 45% of our power generation capacity coming from renewable energy, that's something which is indeed a very remarkable thing, which is, when I asked this question at Davos, when I asked them that India, what do you think India would be having as its clean energy as a proportion of its power generation capacity? Most people in the audience would reply 7%, 5%, 10%. It is actually 45%. So that's the first point I would like to make, and I would like the panelists also to discuss it. And I would also like to recognize Honorable MP Shri Sujit Kumar ji. He is also present. He is a very well-educated person from Harvard. He has done a lot of good work in public policy. He is present with us. We would love to have his views also during the discussions. Now I'll come to the second point out of the 3 points that I wanted to make. Second point is about developing technologies. Clean energy and sustainable development requires that we should have self-reliance in many technologies. For example, I'll give you 2 examples. Hydrogen train. There are only 4 countries in the world which have been able to develop a hydrogen train. And most of the countries have developed trains with the capacity of about 500, 600 horsepower. We in India decided to take that as a challenge, and we have developed successfully, using our own engineers, using our own talent, a hydrogen train which is 1,200 horsepower. And that is, at this point of time, the highest capacity hydrogen train. Why I am giving this example? When you develop technologies like this, which are as complex as hydrogen train, then you get the opportunity of having many spin-off projects. So the powertrain, which has been developed for 1,200 horsepower, that powertrain can tomorrow be used in large trucks, that can be used in large construction equipment. That same powertrain can be used in boats, tugboats, pilot boats. So the spin-off effects of developing a technology indigenously, that is huge. So that's the second point I wanted to make, that the country today is very focused on developing new technologies. So when we talk of sustainability, one of the key points that comes is how much of our transportation we are doing by clean transportation means. I'm sure all the panelists will discuss in detail about it. If you want to carry 1 ton for 1 kilometer, then the cleanest mode is on surface, the cleanest mode is railway. The emissions, carbon dioxide emissions, are 90% less when you transport using trains compared with the transportation by road. 90%, it's all calculated by experts. This is something which is there in technical literature. So our Prime Minister took a very strong, bold initiative. He decided to electrify the entire railway network. And it's a large railway network, close to 110,000 kilometers of tracks, 110,000 kilometers of tracks for the people who come from overseas. Electrifying such a large network was a very, very humongous task. The country was, before 2014, we were electrifying like, in a year we were electrifying 500, 600 kilometers. Now we are doing 6,000 kilometers a year. So within a short time frame, we have been able to electrify about 97% of our entire railway network, which means the carbon dioxide emissions due to transportation, when you compare it vis-a-vis road, is now further reduced. 90% was like your classic diesel versus diesel. Diesel traction in railway versus diesel truck on highway. When you compare electrical traction on railway versus diesel trucks on highway, that is a difference of close to 98%. Imagine the sustainability which comes with this kind of transformation. That has actually happened in our country in the last 10 years. That's what I wanted to place as my second point. The third point relates to becoming future ready. Becoming future ready means we should be able to manufacture some of the core parts of the value chain that goes into sustainable energy. What are those core parts? Those core items in the value chain are green hydrogen, are being able to do the silicon ingot, which then gets sliced into creating photovoltaic cells, being able to create lithium ion cells using advanced chemistry so that you can then have electric vehicle value chain, being able to develop permanent magnet motors so that you can then develop a variety of battery electric vehicle or hydrogen driven equipment. So today our Prime Minister is focused on developing those core elements of the value chain. Only yesterday, 1,85,000 crore. Sujit bhai, kitna hoga $1 billion mein? Roughly 25, 26? 24. $24 billion worth investment inauguration was, the foundation was laid yesterday by our Honorable Prime Minister for manufacturing green hydrogen. Now that is probably one of the largest facilities in the entire world today. So that's the thought process with which we are moving. Today we are manufacturing our own silicon ingots, which are then used to, that's happening in Gujarat, which are then used to manufacture the photovoltaic cells. So those are the things on which the country is very focused. One, increasing the power generation capacity from renewable sources. Already reached 45%, and that would be probably more than any other country among the top 10 economies by GDP. Second, developing technologies which are very core to the sustainable power, sustainable energy value chain. Third, investing in production of materials and items which go into the value chain of sustainable energy. I'll halt here, pause here, and let the panel take over the discussion. I'd be very happy to contribute, and I'll request Honorable Deputy Chief Minister Sir, as well as Honorable MP Sir, to contribute in the panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. With such a robust framework set by our chair, it's time to hand over the floor to our befitting moderator. Moderating this session is Sri Pradeep Kumar Das, Chairman and Managing Director of the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. With his wealth of experience in renewable energy, financing and leadership in sustainable initiatives, Sri Das will steer this dialogues towards meaningful insights and actionable outcomes. Sir, over to you.
Jai Jagannath, Honorable Minister Shri Ashwini Vaishnav ji, and very knowledgeable dignitaries from the Indian diaspora on the dais, an Honorable Deputy CM of the dais, an Honorable MP Sujit Kumar ji, very close friend of mine also on the dais, and he told me that I'll particularly come to attend your session. Thank you very much. So, I'm little nervous. The reason is first time I'm getting opportunity to meet in person Honorable Minister Sri Ashwini Vaishnavji. I heard about a lot, and particularly when last time there was a major railway accident, Coromandel Express. I used to tell all my office members, look at him. He did not sleep for 72 hours, he went working. If he can do, why not we? That kind of approach and attitude, not only by Honorable Minister, but by all diasporas, citizens of the country, all living human beings, we have to contribute. Why you are talking about green connection? So far, whatever our forefathers have left the atmosphere for us, we have somehow neglected and living a unlivable world or atmosphere for our next generation to come. Therefore, this green connection, which is very important and critical and crucial for sustainable development. Everybody wants development, so we are. I have not come across, not heard, or a single individual who doesn't want development. And for any development, you require energy. For any development, you require energy, and for every energy, you need to now require 90% of your energy from renewable energy. Then only we can ensure sustainable development. If you want sustainable development, then you need to have 360-degree development, focusing on environment, focusing on social, focusing on entire ecosystem or political, cultural, and everything. We cannot afford the world or the developed economies to thrive on their development at the cost of underdeveloped economies, the way it has happened in the past. So therefore, through various programs, none other than our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, has championed this aspect. And today, India is leading from front as far as renewable energy development is concerned. From a meager 74 gigawatt of capacity by 2014, we have reached to 206 gigawatt by November 2024 in just around 10 years, 2.3 times. But if you look at major development has happened in solar, which has grown 30 times in last 30 years, as last 10 years. No other sector, no other industry has grown like that. But it has its own limitation. Solar occupies fair amount of land. So also it is time specific, day specific, sunlight related. We cannot have continuous power from renewable unless we have a storage system, unless we have a round the clock power of renewable. Till such time, we cannot ignore the fossil fuel, because we need to keep a balance of growth as well as sustainability parallelly. And if you look at, if India is leading from front, IREDA is leading within India from front. IREDA is an agency who is of MNRE, working since 37 years, the largest pure green finance company in the country. Book size of 69,000 crore, 8 plus 4 billion. And if you do the study and analysis of IREDA, the way IREDA has transitioned, the kind of hockey stick growth it has been exhibited last 4.5 years, which is fully aligned with the government's requirement for energy development in the country. If we have today 205 and 6 gigawatt, I'm talking of only RE, not nuclear, and we have to reach to 485 gigawatt. Don't get confused, 500 is the target, which includes renewable 485 and 15 from nuclear. If you have to go from 206 to 485, we require around 30 lakh crores of investment only in renewable energy space. Huge amount of investment, huge amount of opportunity. And when any investor comes to invest, they want the ROI. In last 37 years, IREDA has sanctioned more than 2.23 lakh crores. and financed more than 1,38,000 crores. And our cumulative write-up is only 115 crore, which speaks renewable financing is really sustainable. Renewable financing is really lucrative, and renewable finance is really sustainable and guaranteed return. And if you look at our NPA, it is around 1. And one input I'll give, in fossil fuel industry, 80% of the developer in India are from government side. In non-fossil fuel industry, that is RE, I'm talking RE only, not nuclear, 80% of the developer are from private sector. So by and large, lending to private sector, ensuring the net NPA of around 1, that itself speaks the competency and capability of Indian government and other systems. So when we talk about sustainable development, anything you can sustain with a good governance. And when you talk about good governance, our organization today considered one of the best corporate governed company in India, and we are matching to any other private sector enterprises as far as the reporting, the results, transparency, and ease of doing business. We do business without a paper in our office. Very difficult to believe. Many people tell how a government organization can do this. Yes, we are government organization. We get guided by government guidance, but we have that willpower and zeal to adopt and adapt what Honorable Prime Minister, what the Government of India mandates to us. With this backdrop, we'll now come to the topic, and we have invited very learned panelists here. And I'll just give brief introduction about the panelists here. We have with Mr. Hambirajan Narsingan, Junior Minister of Affairs, Regional Energy Integration. Mr. Narsingan is a renowned champion of human rights and an expert of international law and diplomacy with distinguished career advocating for justice and sustainable development. He is a former trade representative to the World Trade Organization in Geneva and served as a representative on the Human Rights Council, ensuring the voice of all are heard on the international stage. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome for this year. We have Dr. Raul Fateda, founder and CTO of Moro Batteries, Norway. Dr. Fateda has deep expertise in advanced battery technology with over 15 years of experience, with leading roles in product strategy, technology development, and strategic partnership. His company is dedicated to accelerating the green energy transition by producing cost-effective, sustainable LI battery cells for energy storage as well as EV application. Welcome you, sir. And thank you very much for participating here. Mr. Jagdish Nenwal, President of India-Mexico Trade and Commerce Council. Mr. Naniwal has been fostering bilateral economic and trade relations between India and Mexico by supporting partnerships, investment between the two nations. As head of Latin America region of United Phosphorus Limited, a global agriculture solution company, he has a deep understanding on the agricultural sustainable topic. Don't forget, India is an agro-based economy. Thank you very much, sir. I welcome you once again here. Mr. Andranil Sengupta, Chairman, Vietnam Chapter of Indian Business Chamber of Chairman, Vietnam Chapter of Asian Indian Business Council, founder and CEO of Investify Vietnam. Mr. Sengupta supports opportunities for Indian business in Vietnam to network, collaborate, and advocate for common interests between the two countries. Thank you very much, sir. I welcome you once again. Mr. Aditya Elepedi, Managing Partner, Swiss Nob, and Board Member, Swiss Biotech Association, Switzerland. Mr. Elepedi is a Renaissance man with varied experience across politics, consulting, engineering, and governance. I welcome you, sir. Thank you very much for coming here. Mr. Jitendra Kumar Sachdeva, Founder and Group President, Skipper, Nigeria. As Founder and Group President, Skipper, Mr. Sachdeva has more than 38 years of experience across power, construction, manufacturing, and infrastructure, and has guided his company to expand its footprint across India, the SAARC region, the Middle East of Africa. Thank you very much So I think you'll be sharing your experience on storage power landscape. Thank you once again, and I welcome you again. Mr. Kishore Reddy, Managing Director, Platinum Realty Investment Limited, Sri Lanka. Mr. Reddy has more than 28 years of experience in realty sector across multiple companies. He is currently heading Platinum Realty, a leading luxury real estate development company based in Sri Lanka, which creates state-of-art apartments as well as urban structures. See, many might be confused. What about a real estate developer in a green connection? Actually, green connection is everywhere. When I said if you want to develop, you require energy. If you require energy, you should focus on green energy. And when you talk about energy transition, when you look into energy efficiency, your existing light, the way you are consuming here, it can be reduced to, it can be shifted from a normal light to a LED light, which will be saving energy. Your refrigerator system, what you are using in your home, if you are using a lower star, if you can go to a higher star rating, your energy efficiency will be achieved. Dr. Anju Birmani, Board Member, Payments Canada, Ontario Power Generation Canada. Dr. Birmani has over 30 years of experience in technology, design and risk management across various organizations, including Chief Information Officer of Cargojet Inc. So when you talk about sustainability, risk management is one of the key components of any organization to ensure sustainable governance and sustainable development. I welcome all the members, and now I'll go one by one, and I'll prefer to come there and allow others to also come. So first of all, I'll thank Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav for your focused and clarity approach of talking. And though I have not met you in person, but I admire you a lot and I follow you and practice. Many people tell me, how do you work 16 hours? And I came to know he works more than 16 hours. I will try to know and increase my working hours at least. So, Mr. Abhinay Narsingan, I'll request you to talk about your contribution with respect to this green connection or whatever you feel and how you can connect with this Government of India's plan for it. Yeah.
Well, first of all, before coming to the crux of the matter, I would like to thank the Government of India. First of all, my salutation to the Minister, Honorable Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, Minister of Electronics and Information Technology and Information and Broadcasting and Railways. And also my special salutation to Sri Pradeep Das, Chairman of the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. My special salutation to Honorable Chief Minister and other Chief Ministers and distinguished panelists and delegates from different parts of the world. And also my salutation from my Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Chandra Ramgoolam, Prime Minister of Mauritius. So it is indeed a pleasure and an honor for me to be in this beautiful state. And I would like to extend my special thanks to Sri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, and also the Chief Minister of this state. And let me remind you that we've got a delegation of more than 300 Mauritians coming to attend this special conference. So let me comment on this. Now we are living in a world of paradox. I think when God or nature created this world, we started with a sort of green world or blue world. Then it started to become white, gray, and nearly black. And the paradox is, it is the Industrial Revolution and so many revolutions that converted our world from a green world to a gray world. And now, as mentioned by Honorable Minister, that we want to use the same technology to convert the world again into a green world. And you know, I just became a junior minister in my country, and as a professor, I want to go back to the title of our conference of this afternoon. That is Green Connection, and what would be the contribution of the diaspora to make this world more sustainable. So, in fact, when we look at the diaspora, I don't know if you are aware, the Indian diaspora would comprise around 35.4 million of people in different nooks and corners of the world. So it is very significant. It is the biggest diaspora that we have in the world. And now, when we look at the world, my own experience coming from a very small country, a small dot in the Indian Ocean, a country where we have a population of approximately 1.3 million people, but at the same time, Mauritius is a gateway to Africa. So when you look at the Mauritian population, we have a population whereby the people of Indian origin would constitute more than 50% of the population, but many people come from Africa, a few come from China, a few come from Europe. So Mauritius is at the same time a sort of small India, a small Africa, but also a small Europe. We combine, we are a sort of global village in itself. So what is also important, Mauritius, as a small state, we are classified among the SIDS. So we have a lot of vulnerabilities. So let me tell you some of the vulnerabilities. As an island, we've got an ocean, and we are not polluting this ocean. The ocean has been polluted by developed countries. And unfortunately, we have to bear the consequences. If you look at the quality of air, we are using a lot of resources to preserve the ocean and also to preserve the quality of air. But unfortunately, we cannot have a full grip on pollution. So what we can see that Mauritius is facing a lot of challenges. And we are fully compliant when it comes to international conventions, when it comes to international treaties. And when we look at our pledges in terms of SDGs, when we look at our sort of contribution, we are aiming at a number of targets. For example, we are aiming to, in spite of the fact that we are contributing 0.1 in terms of greenhouse gas emission, we have pledged to reduce it by 40%, which many developed countries are not undertaking. At the same time, we have pledged to, for instance, to make, in terms of a mix of renewable energy, up to 60% by 2030. So we are bringing our contribution to make the world a greener world. And it is here that we are taking the lead in Africa. When you look at, we are also a member of a number of important treaties, the SADC Treaty and the COMESA Treaty. And this is here where we are facing challenges, where we are facing crises, where you people from the diaspora, whether you're coming from India, whether you're coming from Malaysia, you're coming from Singapore, you're coming from Oman, and even from Trinidad, Tobago, and so many other countries, where you can use the small dot in the Indian Ocean to penetrate the African market. Not to do sort of activities like vampire capitalists, but to do business in a sustainable way, to do business in an equitable manner. Because Mauritius, even our new government, we are more or less a sort of socialist government. We promote sustainable development, and we want people to come in Mauritius to invest, to use Mauritius as a platform to penetrate the continent of today and tomorrow. This is where the future lies, Africa. Don't look at Mauritius like a small dot. Look at Mauritius like a gateway to Africa. And what I have to tell you also, Mauritius forms part of the Indian Ocean Rim. And just 1 week back, one Indian has taken the lead as the Secretary General of the IORA. So you got, on the east, you penetrate Africa, and on your west, from Mauritius, you can penetrate a number of other countries in Southeast Asia, including Australia. So I will stop here for the time being, and I will wait for the next question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Narasimham. I think, thanks for your valuable input. And we all know that Mauritius is a small island country. I think the geographical size and population, if you see, even some of our cities are bigger than that. But if you look at the problem and challenges with respect to what they are coming across because of their larger GDPs coming from tourism, and I'm sure the way our Honorable Prime Minister vision, particularly my state, this state, we have tremendous opportunity for tourism growth. So the challenges what they are facing and the opportunities how they are challenging, we can adapt and adapt. Not only Odisha, other part of India who is having tourism opportunity. Thank you very much. And I'll come back again. Now I'll come to Mr. Rahul Fateda. Since you work in a battery innovation, which is crucial for renewable, because the biggest constraint of renewable is intermittent power. To balance it out, we need to have enough storage so that we can ensure continuity, round-the-clock power. So I'll request you to come and share your thoughts on this.
First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me to this conference. Okay, yeah. Actually, I'm very happy to be here, and you know, like I was a young Indian boy who left India 25 years back, and now to be coming back here and talking here is really a big honor. Thanks a lot. Also, I mean, when I was, I like to tell you a small story. When I was a small Indian boy back in Delhi in 90s growing up, I thought that our country really had everything. We have beaches and we have mountains and we have the best food, but the only thing we didn't have was energy. We didn't have enough energy. We don't have enough energy right now. A lot of our foreign exchange is being spent to buy energy currently in the form of fossil fuels. So while I am living the last 25 years in Europe and a lot of people talk about energy transition in Europe, I mean, these guys in Europe have enough energy to transition. It's a matter of convenience for them. They want a cleaner source of power. But India has a much bigger challenge. I mean, a lot of the country needs to be electrified. A lot of the India country doesn't have primary power. And it's extremely encouraging to see what has happened in the last 2 decades in India. But it has to go a long way further. And again, like the question was there, the biggest opportunity for us in India is that the Surya Bhagavan is shining on India. We have the solar power, right? So we can make a lot of power, tremendous amount of power in India. But be it solar power or be it wind power, all of these things are interdependent and they all have to be stored. And so batteries are indisputably the best solution to store power. But the big question with batteries is like, how could you make batteries cheap? Can you make enough batteries, etc.? And who is really controlling the battery supply chain? I think, you know, in the last decade also we had this electrification revolution. But it's, one of the things, important things, at least from my point of view, what happened is that I think we need to learn a lot from what happened in China. China made an industrial policy decision in the 90s that we want to bet big on electrification. They basically bought mines in Africa, in Latin America. They invested heavily in local manufacturing and research. And right now, I mean, all the renewable power is coming, prices are coming down. Actually, it's because of China, but that also creates a lot of regional kind of concentration of technology now only in China and East Asia. So I was just mentioning to the minister as well, except, I mean, batteries must be one of those fields in the world where India, Europe, US basically have the same kind of technological state. We all are trying to catch up with China, which has this massive lead. So how do you do that? I mean, I think this is a very interesting point. And a lot of my career is basically built upon how can you build technology and how can you take this technology, so from a technology perspective, and how can you make a business out of that from an entrepreneurial perspective. I think a lot, and it only can happen at the interface of basically policy and really entrepreneurs who have the courage to do things. So the government has to create policy incentives where, and I think that is exactly what is happening in India. That's also happening in US with the Inflation Reduction Act. That's what is happening in Europe, in Norway, with the Norwegian government supporting us. But that is one pillar of that growth. The other very important pillar is technology. You know, you need to have people, companies who have the courage, who have the vision to actually build things together. And so, I mean, I had a lot of experience developing battery technology, and I was fortunate enough to be involved in setting up a large gigafactory of lithium-ion production in Norway, which recently concluded. We would be producing lithium iron phosphate batteries, prismatic cells, but that is still the first step. I think it's very important to understand that you have to take the first step if you have to go a journey of 100 kilometers, because battery technology is, people think it's already very advanced, but it's really in the beginning of development. We would see a really massive development in the next 10, 15, 20 years. But like any other technology, it has to be really established. You need to have a manufacturing base, you need to have a research base, you need to have a strong integration between these two things. And I'm seeing this happening in India. I'm really strongly supporting that, because batteries would play a very, very big role in the next decades. And some of the important things which countries like India need to do is to change the mineral base from where it is right now. Right now, a lot of minerals which are used in batteries are actually not available in India. Lithium has been found recently, but a lot of that is imported. Cobalt is not present here, but we have a lot of manganese, for example. So we have the opportunity to develop batteries which are based on manganese, but these developments would not happen overnight. We need to actually spend time and efforts and energy to actually systematically, and take a page from the Chinese book to make a 10, 20-year plan of how can we get a technological dominant position in this field. But we should not wait till that happens. We should already actually start building factories. Because I think that is again one of the mistakes which Europeans did. They thought they'll make the next generation technology and but then they could never actually do that. And now they're, really behind China. So my kind of 2 cents on this whole topic is we need to dive into manufacturing, learn how to mass manufacture, and at the same time develop technologies, because batteries and the whole renewable thing is going to be a very, very important factor that is going to take us in the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patida, and thanks for your valuable input. And battery is going to play a very key role in enabling round-the-clock. Today, this battery storage is not even economically viable, so that's the reason government is giving a gap funding for that. But definitely, once the technological improvement happens and the scale improves, it is going to become bankable here. Thank you. We'll come back. I'll come back again. Now I'll come to Mr. Jagdish Nenwal. As a facilitator of India-Mexico trade relationship and based on your experience working across Latin America, what role do you see trade partnership playing in promoting green business practices and especially green manufacturing, which is emerging a thrust area in India?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for this opportunity. Just to share about me, my name is Jagdish Nanwal. I'm from Jaipur, and currently I'm basically by education I'm agriculturist, and I'm also Harvard Business School alumni. And what our moderator started, that 360 degree completely how you can see the sustainability. So I am a point of to create the 360 degree because we are involving in Latin America agriculture along with the industry for the sustainability or green part. Just to share with all of you, total green CO2 emission in the world is near about 38 to 40 billion metric ton. Out of this, 23% from the industry and 22% or same 23% from energy. But the biggest part of the carbon emission is agriculture. 25% of CO2 emission in agriculture. So in Latin America, when we started this thing, we had to develop this sustainability, or we have to reduce the agriculture emission. The farmer was asking only one question. Mr. Jagdish, tell me one thing. When I am buying the electric vehicle, you are giving subsidy to me to incentivize me. But if I am reducing the CO2 in my field in agriculture, what you are giving to me? Which government is giving to me? So that debate started in Latin America at very big way. Then suddenly what happened in Mexico, I don't know if you read the articles in many countries of Latin America, there was a war of articles in the paper. The urban population was saying the agriculture, they are using water irrationally and they are creating problem for the urban people. Farmer was saying that this is our right because we are producing food for you. You can't say to us this thing. So the sustainability is the scope of that 360 degree when you, Mr. Das, you said it's very, very big way on that. So what we are doing in that, we are trying to create this link because I am playing two roles with the Indian Embassy. I am president of INDMAX and I am CEO for UPL for agriculture company for Latin America. We are trying to make a bridge so that we can create this 360 development of the creation for sustainability. Now, we are created one oath or one plan to reduce 1 gigaton carbon emission in Latin America in coming up to 2040. We are doing many biggest methane production is livestock. Livestock where you are in Latin America, Brazil, Paraguay, all the countries, they are raising the livestock. So there is a lot of methane emission. Biggest methane production with rice cultivation when you are using water, as the methane is coming out on that. So we are trying to control that, how we can develop the technologies, how we can develop the food item, for the animal, so that it can reduce the emission of the methane less compared to what they are doing. So these are the parts what we are doing from the agriculture point of view. Only one point I would like to add. Proudly, when you will enter in the Parliament of the Mexico, you will see outside the Mexican Parliament, there is the organic India-Mexico Friendship Garden. It's made by us. So as an Indian, you will feel the proud that how sustainability we are promoting in Latin America. You go any country in Latin America, the UPL is the sustainability, the leader for and we are bearing the flag of India. And regarding the business point of view, I'm just coming 2 points on that. In Latin America, there are many things are happening, especially from the Mexico, where the production of the automobile industry is very high. They are using more EV batteries and what we are discussing. One more concept is coming, that is heat pump. It is not very, very old technology. It's not new technology, it's old. But now with the efficiency of the heat pump, they are reducing their dependency on the like coke-based energy to reduce the emissions on that. So there are many activities are happening in Latin America. And I will be very happy if we can share our experience of the Latin America. with the farmers here in India, we can develop some platform where we can do the carbon sequestration, and farmer can share this carbon point to JP Morgan, to Coke, to Nestle, and farmer can also earn along with that new technology in the energy side to earn with more profitability to farmer. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And as I said, India is an agro-based economy, and our Honorable Prime Minister is very much focused to work on a theme from translating Annadatta to Urjadatta. The Kusum scheme in India, which is largely focusing into agriculture sector. Apart from that, ethanol, compressed biogas, those are also indirectly talking about this agro-based product usage in contributing renewable energy. Thank you, Mr. Nenwal. Now I'll come to Mr. Indranil Sengupta. From an investment perspective, what sustainability trends are you seeing in Southeast Asia, especially across this sector, which have historically been fairly carbon intensive?
Thank you, Mr. Das. I have worked in India and Bangladesh and Southeast Asia, basically Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, for the last 18 years in these three countries. So these are all developing countries, and there is a commonality among the developing countries regarding their sustainable growth. And for sure, among the developing countries, India is few notches above than the rest. There is no doubt about it. And there are certain progress we have made and certain developments we have done both technologically as well as in terms of innovative financing, which many other countries need to learn from. Having said that, we can learn from everybody. Whether it's a smaller country or a big country, learning never ends. So some of the common things which I've seen in, at least in Southeast Asia, is that there is sort of a bigger plan, like what Mr. Das was saying about, green. The journey of greening is not only about energy, but it's also about this 360-degree planning of resources and human resources, financial resources, and there should not be any so-called, as we typically call it, the ballooning effect. So let me give you a specific example of Vietnam. What I've seen in Vietnam is the planning is much more well thought through. That means one of the, MSMEs, let's take, MSME has a problem of, let's take the affluent discharges. So not every MSME can invest in affluent discharges by themselves. So instead of doing a MSME factory on a standalone basis, so what the government of Vietnam has done is they have encouraged industrial parks and industrial zones. So where the common infrastructure, whether it's water treatment or affluent discharge or, are done by the industrial park. So there is no upfront capital investment for that. The MSME just comes in, plugs and plays, and pays a rental fee for that. So this has helped more of a sustainable development across Vietnam. And there are like thousands such industrial parks. And if you see in the China +1, Vietnam has gained a lot because of these industrial parks. And so the more planning has gone into it, how to, see, Vietnam is also, as, financially as a country like ours, but they sort of tried to be little more creative and get resources from many other places. So that's one thing where I saw that, something which I learned there about planning the zoning, industrial park, industrial zones. In fact, recently, one of the Indian investors is developing a pharmaceutical industrial park, only for pharmacy, because their affluent treatments and input treatments are very different. So that's one thing. The other thing which I also saw is, one is how you make sort of, change your energy source, like make it more green. But the other way to do it, how can you reduce your energy requirement? You know, if you reduce your energy requirement, whether it is in terms of coal or in terms of electricity or in terms of anything, to that extent, you are actually reducing the carbon footprint and the greenhouse gas emissions. So that's one effort which, I've seen, for example, right to do with the lighting system and also changing the specific consumption of a process industry. Incidentally, there was a McKinsey study done on India, I think last year. It was a very detailed study. They did every sector analysis, and let's take that as a typical, some of the figures will be typical to a developing country. The maximum greenhouse gas emission comes from obviously the coal based power plants or the hydrocarbon based power plants, which is around, I may be 1 or 2% off here and there, which is around 30%. The next is from industries, and steel and cement have the major impact, which is around 28 to 30% again. And you'll be surprised to know the next one in the pecking order is agriculture, which is around 22% or 24%. And transportation, while I'm very fond of e-mobility and all, but it's only 8% in a developing country. But if you see that in a developed country, the transportation figure is higher. So now there is something which we always ignore, which is agriculture, and I'm happy that we spoke about it today. The easiest thing is, of course, the changing the between from coal to or hydrocarbon to that is the easiest thing to green sources. That's everybody is trying to do, but in the country where coal is of abundance, that's a little bit challenging. However, there is an effort to not stop coal, but plateau the coal generation and increase the percentage of green energy. Vietnam, in fact, again, it started its journey of renewable energy for solar and wind since 2015, but it was hydro-based, that means hydropower-based country for many years. I mean, at one point of time, their hydropower generation was 90% of the energy basket. Now it has come down. Then came coal, because Vietnam has a lot of coal. But however, from 2015 to, let's say, 2024, between hydro, wind and solar, the installed capacity of these, if we club them as renewable together, is around 57%. And this has happened in the last 10 years. In terms of generation, of course, it cannot be that high. So that is around 43%, the renewable energy sources. Now, what we saw when Vietnam started the journey and in 2015, okay, let me, before I come to this, I'll give you a small, little bit of backdrop of me. I come to Bhubaneswar after 20 years, but so last time came was in 2004, but between 2000 and 2004, I came almost 20 times. So you may ask, why did I come so many times? At that particular time, I used to be the head of strategy and mergers and acquisitions in Tata Steel. So I have a little bit of contribution in the Dhamra port and the Kalinganagar project. So that's why I used to come so many times those days. So, and then thereafter I had gone out of India and I stayed. Now why I gave this, because this little bit of background of mine, I used to be the head of strategy and mergers and acquisition. So when Vietnam started its journey of renewable energy, means developing wind and solar, and that at the same time I also left the Tata Group and started on my own. So what I saw is they were struggling with, because they didn't have any experience in financing of solar or doing a merger and acquisition of solar or wind. So they were struggling with that. And while there were a lot of foreign investors who were interested in Vietnam, but they could not sort of do a deal there. They could not do a transaction there. Both of them would not understand what they were trying to talk to. So that's where I found my niche. And I started with a very small team with a finance guy and one legal guy. So we did a couple of M&As. We did some very innovative financing. And the first financing we did was an ECA-based financing backed by a local bank guarantee. And that's what our company became famous for, and everybody followed that model thereafter. So, but to be honest, the journey has been they did grow very fast. And also one more thing is that I've seen the capacity, basically electricity consumption per capita is also quite high. It's around 2.6. It's almost double than what we have in India, and out of which around 14% comes from renewable. And if you add the hydro, it's around 43%. That is one, as I explained. The other trend I have seen is on the e-mobility. So I don't know how many of you all heard a company called VinFast, which is the first electric vehicle company in ASEAN region, already listed in US. They also have announced their factory in Chennai, in India also, and one in US and one in Indonesia. So very interesting story about this company. They were real estate guys. Pure real estate play. They were like DLFs of Vietnam. They had real estate everywhere, and they still do have. Suddenly, they decided to become national champions of e-mobility, and without any experience, launched. In 4 years, they launched electric vehicles, both two-wheelers and four-wheelers. And, I'm not saying they're flying very high, they're struggling, but they're very ambitious. And we did some work for them, because one of the things is the battery, the cost of the battery is quite high. So what will be the financing behind the battery leasing? So we did that piece of work for VinFast that time, just before they launched. So presently, the EVs have been launched since 2023, and around 150,000 were sold in 23 last year. So right now the growth, obviously it's a new market in the sense that the growth has been 17%. We do not know whether that growth of 17% year on year, how long it will be sustained. Having said that, great thing which the government has also pushed for is the charging infrastructure. So there are two things which happened. One is government push for the charging infrastructure with incentives. And secondly, as I said, Vin Group has real estate all over, it has like malls and, complexes and all. So they have monetized those as charging infrastructure. So, these are some of the things we'll discuss a little more. What are the other trends which is happening? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Indranil, and your experience, Honorable Deputy CM is here, as well as Government of Odisha officials are here, because this state is having tremendous potential for manufacturing not only solar components, but also for green hydrogen, as well as e-mobility. Already, some of the entities have already started getting into it, and as you said, this charging infra and e-mobility, these are having chicken and egg relationship. 1.5 years back, we started lending. Perhaps we are the first agency to come into play in this field to lend to the fleet operators. Nobody was lending, including, you name any major bank in India also. And we have made it successful. And now, most of the banks are also getting into that. And more the scale goes up, e-mobility, the more charging will come up. More the charging goes up, more mobility will come up. So it is a correlated here. And certainly your experience will be used sometime or other. Now I'll come to Mr. Aditya Elepedi. India has a significant biomass potential, which we are trying to harness in the form of 2G and 3G bioethanol, as well as sustainable fuels. As a thought leader within the biotech community, how do you suggest that India can leverage partnership for R&D, knowledge transfer with the international biotech community?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Government of India and the Government of Odisha for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today to share my views. So the question of partnership is extremely important, especially when we talk about big issues that are touching humanity. We talk about climate, we talk about health, and so on. So aligned vision and shared vision among the communities, among countries is very important. And here I'm particularly pleased to mention one aspect that is embodying this partnership spirit that India has and that also Switzerland has, because in March 2024, India and Switzerland, part of the EFTA bloc of countries, have signed the first trade and economic partnership agreement. This is the first time that India has signed a partnership agreement with a European country. It took 16 years to negotiate it. It was signed in March 2024, and it has a specific chapter on sustainability. So this is a proof and a willingness of both countries to have a shared vision and a shared values in terms of going towards sustainability for its industries. So this is one very important element so that all the population, the industries, the academics understand that this is a key component of an economic partnership agreement, and this is bound to become a norm going forward. So India and Switzerland now has sort of set the momentum for these types of new partnerships, including sustainability components. The importance of partnerships has to be split between different levels. So we have government-to-government partnerships, which is in this case the conclusion of the signing agreement between India and Switzerland. And then you have industry-to-industry partnerships, more based on technology, innovation, transfers of technology, transfers of skills as well. In this case, Switzerland has many international companies, multinational companies that are operating in different countries to subsidiaries. So you can already see how these large companies are transferring and are doing business in other parts of the globe. And then you have SMEs as well. And SMEs are usually also very innovative, but they may be lacking the resources to scale and to expand their businesses. And here, the component of partnership becomes very important, especially for large markets like India, because the scalability and the resources that are available in India is very appealing to countries and to companies such as Swiss companies. The third element that I think is important in order to really have a comprehensive strategy on sustainability is also through academia. When you have the youth in universities, in training schools that are from the very beginning trained to think with a global mindset, trained to think with a partnership mindset and a partnership approach, this will lead to collaborations, this will lead to a holistic view, and this will help in achieving very ambitious goals in sustainability and reaching the objectives that we fit for ourselves. In addition to that, you are talking about biofuels and bioethanol. Here also, it is important to see which country has expertise in what and which country is seeking for what. I can tell you, for instance, for Switzerland, we have several companies working on the biomass valuation and on green energy technologies. But as you know, Switzerland is a landlocked country with limited to no access to natural resources. So if we talk about, for instance, 3G biofuels, which is extracted mostly from algae, how do you have access to ocean, to the sea? We are in the state, in Odisha, where there is a coastal line and access to the sea that is, in this case, very appealing for Swiss companies, for instance, to have access to the sea through a partnership with Odisha and the state government here, for instance, or the companies that are doing business here. So this is one example where you can see a strong partnership and collaboration into R&D, into skilling, and into technology transfers. So this is one concrete example, and we are, of course, trying to promote this through this overall partnership agreement that India and Switzerland have signed now, and we encourage that as well to take forward in the coming years.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for your input. And in ethanol, particularly in last 1.5 years, a fair amount of project development has happened in India. So initially, interest subvention by DFPD was considered, but now DFPD is reconsidering it. Many of the projects are coming without even interest subvention now. The developers are showing keen interest, but the crux is that more and more technological improvement will happen, then the project will become more viable. Now I'll come to Mr. Jitendra Kumar Sachdeva. You have been expertise in building power business in Africa. India has grown a lot in RE, but why solar is not growing in the same pace in Africa? And what can be done and how you think that we can come forward in that?
Thank you so much, Mr. Das. First and foremost, my special greetings to Honorable Minister and all dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and all protocols observed. As you rightly said, the skipper has a large contribution to the power infrastructure across Africa. It's not just Africa. Skipper has been into Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, India, and UAE for the last 38 years. We have 6 divisions of power, that is power transformers, manufacturing, distribution, transformers, rewinding or remanufacturing, EPC, power plant ownership, and battery energy storage systems. When we talk about these specializations, and the company has been doing a volume of over $200 million year after year, still Africa into renewable space has its own challenges. We have been doing almost 10 to 20 megawatt hours of storage every year. Now, suddenly we have a big project of over 1 gigawatt hour. And we need huge amount of batteries. When I was hearing to Mr. Fotedar, I was happy to note that one company in Europe is also now coming up. And before that, Honorable Minister said that India is coming out in a big way for the solar cells manufacturing. Now, Africa has its own challenges. It's not just challenges, they also have some strengths. When we talk about solar home systems, the one which is just started by Mr. Prime Minister in India for 100 watts buyback system, that is a net metering. Yes. In Africa, in Kenya started this thing 15 years before, but not the net metering. Today, if you see any rural community will have a company like Sun, something like this, Sun America or whatever. They have over a order book of more than $100 million just from Kenya. The solar home systems of just 20 watt, 50 watt, 100 watts are innumerous. They are in mass application. You go to Rwanda, you go to neighborhood East African countries. In Nigeria, they have just started. When you talk about the microgrids, they are also doing quite well. But when it comes to commercial and industrial, the cost of batteries is too high. The number one is the cost, as Mr. Das rightly said, viability of the batteries. The second biggest problem in Africa is the grid capacity. Whenever the solar was tried and injected, there was problem. I have seen in Nigeria for last 10 years they have been playing the problem how to inject solar. And finally now 2 projects of 1 gigawatt each are into the system where the solar will be injected, and along with that there is over 2 to 3 gigawatt hours of storage. But it's just 10 to 12% of the solar generation storage will be. So the biggest challenge will lie, the biggest question will lie now on the optimization of the batteries pricing. And if it comes from the sources like India, for your information, we are just in the process right now. in the acquisition of a inverter company in India, where because we also want to build our capacity here. Our power transformer unit is in Bhiwadi, which is booked for over 1.5 years because of the huge infrastructure development going not only in India, but even in America, even in Africa, wherever you talk about, the power infrastructure is growing multi-folds because of EV and data centers coming up in massive quantities and requirements. So I'm sure in the days to come, when these new projects are being launched, there's going to be a tremendous opportunities of course for Skipper, but also for everyone around. There will be tremendous opportunities for all of you to look around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sazeba. So the basic theme is that you generate, you store, you consume. That is true Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is what our Honorable Prime Minister's mandate to us and learning by us. Now I'll come to Mr. Kishore Reddy. You come from a real estate background. So would like to learn how you are incorporating sustainability in your projects and what has been the user response so far.
Honorable Ashwini Vaishnav ji, Honorable Deputy Minister ji, Honorable Member of Parliament, Chairman, IRDA. First, I thought I'll get all your attention and see if we talk of renewable energy, how do we get energy of this hall going? And that's what one of the things I was thinking. We had so many speakers giving you so much of knowledge, and I hope that energized all of you guys. So, thank you. And being one of the last speakers, I do know that by waking you guys up, I could actually put in some more energy, and then that's probably my contribution in creating some renewable energy out here in the auditorium. So, getting back to sustainable development, one of the things that we were actually thinking was development always happened in various fronts and various forms. Sustaining it is something that we need to look at. So, getting back from all the technical points, I'm actually talking about what diaspora could do in terms of getting back in terms of sustainability, creating an atmosphere in bringing all the sustainable practices, may it be in energy, may it be in all other fields. So that is something that I actually looked at where diaspora communities can play a significant role in creating the sustainable development. One of which is economic contributions, remittances, your remittances that the diaspora sends back home in many of the countries, at home as well as the places where you work in. That is something that is a sustainable development that's happening. Investments, entrepreneurships, trade, market, in every single field. So I was getting a little diversified from energy alone because sustainable development is energy, but also much more than energy, where you go to a poor farmer and you tell him, listen, if you use a low-cost LED power consumption low-cost power consumption on an LED to a regular bulb that would cost you much lower in the initial phases, they will all choose the option of the lowest cost with the capital investment initially, not the running cost. So this is something that we need to address, where we could actually make sure that the initial investment is actually either supported by organizations or governments or individuals. Regulating use of renewable products is one thing, and deregulating regulations that stop people from generating, let's say, renewable energy. You need to get licenses, you need to get various other things. These are the things that needs to be deregulated. So you need to, yes, regulate few things and then deregulate few things as well. We have some radical thoughts on energy, which is primarily making sure that every single person who consumes energy gives an audit of how he had recycled. This is something that we should look at. In the same way, getting back to the real estate industry that you were mentioning, in real estate industry, if we could regulate that every single person could use some sort of reusable products in the construction. So one of the main things in any coal power plant, one of the major byproducts is fly ash. If you can take that fly ash, create bricks with it, it not only reduces the cost of the brick, but also it reuses the fly ash that is a byproduct. It also creates a good insulation material, which is better than a regular brick. It has better soundproofing than the regular brick. So, and if this regulation is involved in, and every single developer is actually told that you should use certain percentage of reusable product in your development, this is something that could really work out well and also help the environment. So that is something that's there.
Thank you, thank you. And anybody and everybody would like to invest in real estate, because that is one certain area to give you a consistent and sustainable ROI. So certainly if you are maintaining, greening that real estate, that is going to give further sustainability. Now we are coming to last but most important panelist. Why most important? She is the only lady panelist in India. And without women empowerment, you cannot sustain the growth. Madam, I'll inform you, my organization is having 27% women representation in the total strength, which is highest in percentage in any government organization. And if things goes well, we'll be reaching to 33% very soon. And in time to come, we'll go to 50-50. Thank you. And please share your experience with respect to digital solution, because in India as well, smart grid mission has gathered already space, and this rooftop solar is now getting momentum with this PM Mukt Bijli Yojana. It is a large-scale community connect RE program, I will tell. It is not a business, it is much more of the awareness and self-empowerment. Can you share some examples of how technology is driving green initiatives in Canada that might also be relevant for India context? Thank you. Since time is out, so then I'll come to question from Sujitji and then him.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the Government of India, the Honorable Minister, and Mr. Das here, and all the dignitaries in the audience, and my fellow panelists. I am the only woman here in this panel, and I just want to say women have always had renewable energy, so that's a good start. I am a techie, so my expertise is not necessarily in renewable energy and power, but in the use of digital and technology solutions. In any industry, any part of the world, digital and technology will be the leader that will take us into the future. Like India, Canada also has a growing need. The forecast for demand of energy is huge. Canada is only a country of like 40 million people. 2 million of them are, I think, the diaspora. And in Canada, we've been experimenting with different ways to get more energy, because the forecast is like a hockey stick curve. It's just going up and up. And there are some things that are being done in Canada, which I think I can share with India. And none of this is new stuff. It's innovation, it's critical thinking, and design thinking. So the use of smart grids, for instance. And where does technology come into this? Everything these days is data-based, and India is sitting on a huge gold mine of data. Data-driven technologies that will help you focus on the smart grid, where you're able to reduce your transportation and distribution losses. When energy is created, so we look at different forms of energy. As we need more energy, we look at different sources. We're looking at, in Canada, we have a country very rich with natural resources. So we use a lot of hydro, we use a lot of nuclear power. We are making a first of its kind small modular nuclear reactors in Ontario. I believe India has some CANDO technology already from Canada. And we're looking at solar, we're looking at wind, we're looking at hydrogen. All countries that are looking into renewable energy around the world and are looking at the sustainable development goals from the UN are focusing on the sustainability issue. So one of the things that we can do is look at smart solutions for optimizing the grid, where your energy surges and peak times are met from algorithmic solutions from the data that you already have. A second option that you can look at, and it actually occurred to me that this is something I learned about Gujarat a couple of months ago when I was visiting there. I went to the Amul factory or the Amul installation, and I learned how Amul was formed by excess of milk that the households were producing. India right now is encouraging solar installations on rooftops and other properties where solar and wind can be capturing energy. Now imagine that your household produces energy that you cannot fully consume. You have an excess of energy. So the concept of virtual power plants, where you can give your excess energy to this virtual power bank, which acts as a single source of energy, would be an amazing thing for maybe to do a pilot in, which is something that Canada is looking at as pilots, which means energy from various households, from whether it's produced by wind or solar, can be conglomerated and placed into one virtual from where you can, and this has been done in technology. Technology will be the answer to coming up with these. The third thing that we consider is, when is your peak demand? So in Canada, we have a concept where your most peak hours, households are encouraged not to run their dishwashers, or things that they can wait till at night when the surge goes down and the demand goes down. And how do you encourage consumers to do that is by offering lower rates during the time when they don't use their, you give them better rates at night. So things that they can do, and that consumerism, when you have 1 billion people, is going to, demand that it's going to provide energy for the peak periods that you need. So technology can help you again use the data that you in real time to reach those objectives. Technology, India has the best talent in technology that we are supplying to the world. So I would not be surprised if India would become the leader, the technical and digital solution leaders for the power grid, for conservation of energy. As one of my panelists said, that there's going to be not just increase the demand, but also reduce the consumption is going to be part of the equation. So demand-driven, surge-driven electricity and energy is going to be key. The other thing Canada is doing is we've invested heavily in the electronic vehicle infrastructure. And there's experimentation and concepts going on where the EVs become a source, an asset into the grid. So some things that India can look into as we electrify your vehicles. The other thing is, once you produce the energy, you still have to transport it and distribute it. So there's going to be, and there already is, a big rush on constructing data centers for artificial intelligence, which is going to consume huge amounts of energy. So placing things like small modular reactors and placing them in the vicinity of where you're going to build these data centers will help you get better distribution and less losses in transportation of electricity. So technically, there's huge opportunities in every aspect. Batteries for storage of electricity. You produce wind and solar, there's tons of real-time data available on the weather, and you can harness the power of that data to produce energy when the sun is up or when the wind is blowing, and you can actually have some real-time predictions and use the surge power of those temporary sources to reduce to reduce the consumption from the grid at times when it's not needed. So this is really about balancing the power of the grid with things, with algorithms driven by real-time data. There's also, there's so many other things that we can do, and I'm just talking about a few that are like really interesting and forward-thinking. Think of, you know, your household producing extra energy, but you know, you don't want to put it in the grid. Your neighbor is having a party and they need more energy. Could you then somehow sell your energy that you're not using to your neighbor? And the blockchain technology and the peer-to-peer networks will help you establish that. There's a whole lot going on, I'm sure, not just in Canada and the technology in India. And there's a huge opportunity to collaborate, to be the leaders, and to learn from each other's diaspora who are already in the business. So this opportunity is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your experience. See, Government of India has already focused on smart metering and smart gridding pan-India, all your distribution and transmission system to bring in. So the time will come, consumer behavior pattern can be analyzed by sitting in the data center, by sitting in the distribution company's office or the customer's office. And digitization will help the agencies to generate a perfect MIS, that is Management Information System, so that you can take a timely decision in order to improvise continuous efficiency. So, in view of the time constraint, now I'll have the privilege of taking two questions. First, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister. Sir, Odisha has planned to have 10 gigawatt by 2030. Right now we're having 3 gigawatt. And around 3.7 lakh crores of investment will be required, which is mainly in manufacturing, green hydrogen, and hydro as well as pump storage. And I believe that Odisha is having a very, very attractive investment policy. So what is the strategy to execute those policies? Because implementing those policies strategically, but that is what Government of India has built a perfect ecosystem by which the solar and RE has grown very fast. But in the state like Odisha, where it is full of abundance of opportunity now, and the focuses of Government of Odisha is aggravated since last 6 months, I would like to listen from you, everybody should know, so that this Indian diaspora can take the opportunity of investment here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Das. Honorable Minister, Shri Ashwini Vaishnavji, the entire panel, the panelists on the dais, dignitaries of the dais. First and foremost, on behalf of the government of Orissa, would like to thank you all for having come to Orissa for this Pravasi Bharatiya Utsav. And I would like to say that I hope you will forgive us for any shortcomings in making your stay comfortable over here. As regard to what Mr. Das has asked, I'd like to mention over here that Orissa, you have rightly pointed out that we have abundant resources to develop. We have abundant coal, we have abundant hydel power generation, we have adequate sunlight, and we can go in for green and renewable energy in a big manner. The only practical problem that we face, which we are trying to resolve, is that when you generate power through coal, thermal energy, you're left with a lot of overburden. I did hear one of the panelists say that you can build more houses which the fly ash bricks act as, what do you call it, soundproofing and everything. But the problem that we face is that because I have the portfolio of agriculture too. So the fly ash today is being dumped onto the agricultural land, which is again a problem for which we are largely faced with. So we are trying to speak with the industries who are generating thermal power, that once you have created the voids, when the voids are empty, they have to be refilled, though that is in the act, but that is not being done. But we are now trying to go in for more, because we have these reservoirs through which we can release the water and do the pump house storage. The battery is what has to be looked at, as Mr. Sengupta and Mr. Fotedar were speaking. We have to see how to do the battery storage, but we have started work on the thermal power generation in Bali Mela and Kali Mela, and in Rengali and other places we are going in for floating solar. We are coming out with the tenders very shortly, and we are going to keep pace with the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of taking it to 30 gigawatt in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I still remember our meeting in India International Center along with Sangeeta Madam and you in 2021, wherein we have discussed how we can come forward and do something for Odisha in the quickest possible time. And I remember that. There are a lot of opportunities there. So I'll just bring to everybody's notice one point, that when we started the program, 30% attendance was there, which is required for the developer. If you have 30% funding, you can start your project. Now it is 70% attendance. If 70% is there, we are the lender to lend you 70%. It's a perfect support for RE development in a timely manner, which is in line with the vision of Honorable Prime Minister of India. The organizers are asking me that I have crossed the time, because the green energy, it is unconventional. So we have to be a little bit unconventional, because you have made us waiting 30 minutes. So please wait for 10 minutes. I would like to listen Mr. Srinivas Navasol later on, but before that, I'll request Mr. Sujit Kumar's view, because what I believe that for renewable energy development, you require skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled workforce, and Odisha is fully rich in that. And since you have global experience and now you are in central level, earlier you were in state level largely, you have widest experience, I believe. So your input or thought process, what you suggest that certain points we can adapt for fastest RE development in the country and in the state of Odisha?
Thank you, Mr. Das. Ashwini Vaishnavji, in him we have a very dynamic and extremely competent minister who is leading from the front, giving shape to Prime Minister's $1 trillion digital economy, and of course his tremendous work in railways is known to everyone. Actually, I came here to educate myself, but I'll just add my 2 cents. Since the theme for this panel is diaspora contributions to sustainable development, one of the ways in which the diaspora can immensely contribute is by working together with startups. We have some very interesting, innovative and impactful startups in India now who are working in the interface of technology and sustainability in the areas of clean tech, battery technology, agri-tech, and e-mobility, and green skilling. So since you spoke of green skilling, Mr. Das, I think we are the most youthful nation. And there's so much of focus from the Prime Minister himself on skilling. Half of our population are 25. So, and there are some amazing startups who are working in the area of green skilling. So if you could, work with them, open your checkbook, offer your expertise, and mentor them, I think not only will you contribute to sustainable development, but also you'll make immense wealth. So doing well by doing good. And Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, sir, has already spoken about the goal of Odisha 10 gigawatt and the tremendous work that the Odisha government is doing. So I think a lot of startups are doing great work, particularly in grassroots India. So please scout for them. We are here to, help you join hands with them, and I think lot of contributions can be made therein. Thank you.
Thank you. And as rightly said, and we have our experience in IREDA. We have supported quite a few new entrants to RE space who doesn't have any business background, who doesn't have any RE background. They have come, they have done, and they have done well also. So if you have the intent and purity with full honesty, and you maintain a DAS principle, discipline in your approach, attitude in your dealing towards other, and simplicity of your practices, if you do the DAS principle, certainly you can sustain your success and growth. Since in view of time constraint, we will not go for other round of discussion. Now I'll request Honorable Minister Sri Asnavji to kindly share his takeaways, thoughts and guidance for carrying forward the objective of this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Das, and what a wonderful panel it is. I am really honored to be a part of this panel. The ideas that came out during this discussion are really eye-opening. I honestly never thought that agriculture can be such a big contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. This was something totally new. The thoughts which were shared, especially about having a long-term view, I think that's really important. We must make a clear commitment towards 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year path, so that the expectations that the people have and the commitments that we have towards islands like the Mauritius Island and many other coastal areas, those commitments can be properly filled up without without any compromise on the development needs of rest of the world. I think a lot of focus is there on technology, a lot of focus is there on innovation, a lot of focus on skilling. All these things together can really help us achieve the goals of sustainability, in my opinion. So I once again thank all the panelists and look forward to keeping in touch with you through the Pravasi Bharatiya entire mechanism which has been created through MEA. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. And I have the input that the MC has left for the cultural event. I have to do the role of MC also now. Any kind of role assigned to me in the interest of this event and state of Odisha, I am prepared to take up. So now I'll request all the panelists to speak at least 1 or 2 lines in their, either in Hindi or their mother tongue. I'll speak, if they cannot speak on their behalf in their language, I can speak 6 languages. ମୁଁ स्टार्ट करी आगे बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मंत्री जी मते एठी की निमंत्रण देवा पाई आपने बुलाया आपका मैं बहुत बड़ा आभार हूँ इफ आई टेल दैट आई एम हैप्पी इट विल बी इनकरेक्ट इफ आई टेल आई एम डिलाइटेड इट विल बी स्टिल इनकरेक्ट आई एम रियली इन अ dazzling मोड टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दिस इवेंट थैंक यू
Ok, donc c'est un grand plaisir pour moi. Vous savez, Maurice, c'est un pays bilingue, à la fois français et anglais. Donc c'est un grand plaisir pour moi d'être ici. Et je voudrais que, I want our people from the diaspora, you know, you've been traveling. In a way, we've been polluting the world. So one call for action, immediate action. Let's stop being talk shops. Let's do concrete action to bring together people of the diaspora and let India be in the lead. Let us green the world and green India and green Africa, green many parts of the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Muchas felicidades. I'm speaking in Spanish because I'm from Mexico. Muchas felicidades para este muy grande evento. And yo pienso muy grande un tipo de plataforma para conectar de todos mundo, todo parte de Latinoamérica y de la India. Hay muchas cosas para compartir, para mejorar de tecnología, para Green Connection. Acá muchas felicidades, muy obrigado, gracias y mucho.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Ministre. Je suis très surpris de voir qu'il y a un deuxième francophone sur cette scène. Donc, en Suisse, nous parlons 4 langues nationales, le français, l'allemand, l'italien et le romanche. Et donc, je ne m'attendais pas à ce qu'on ait une deuxième personne qui parle le français aussi ici. Thank you very much for your attention and happy to be here.
So I actually am here representing Sri Lanka, and I'd like to say a few words in Sinhalese.
And also Telugu.
Of course. So first I would say it in Sinhalese, which is Boma Stuti, apita metanta invite karata, apita me adare dunnata, India wing me Lankave tiena sambandha me tava wedi wenawa kela. India apita adara kara kela. Api stuti wenawa. And what I said was actually that we thank for the relationship building that we are actually sharing with India and Sri Lanka. Indian assistant to Sri Lanka has always been very helpful, and we thank India for the same. And now it's my mother tongue, it's Telugu. Andariki ma ధన్యవాదములు మమ్మల్ని ఇక్కడికి పిలిచినందుకు మమ్మల్ని ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి మాట్లాడమన్నందుకు మా ఒపీనియన్స్ కూడా తీసుకున్నందుకు చాలా ధన్యవాదములు థాంక్స్ ఫర్ కాలింగ్ us here
మీ ఇక్కడ వచ్చి అందరికి చాలా సంతోషం స్టార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ లేఫ్ట్ మేడం
I think मैं पंजाबी विच बोलांगी ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਜ਼ਾ ਆਇਆ और सब तो मज़ा है कि मेरी मम्मी हेवन इज बहुत खुश होएगी देख के कि उनकी बेटी यहाँ पे 50 साल के बाद आई है और इतना ज्ञान पाया है आई होप ज्ञान दिया भी होएगा थोड़ा बहुत थैंक यू
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਮਾਈ ਵਾਈਫ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ नेक्स्ट
वेल अपने देश में आए हैं अपनी दोस्तों से मिले हैं अपने मिनिस्टर्स रिस्पेक्टेबल सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारा जो ब्लड है वो इंडियन है अब अपने हिंदुस्तान में अपना पैसा यहाँ पर लगाना है यहाँ से प्रॉस्पेरिटी आगे लेके जानी है थैंक यू
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
বহু বছর পরে ভুবনেশ্বর এবং উড়িষ্যা এসে খুব ভালো লাগলো আরও বেশি ভালো লাগলো মহামন্ত্রী বৈষ্ণবজি আর উপমুখ্যমন্ত্রী সিংদেওজির উপস্থিতি আমি মনে করি আগামী দিনে এবং আগামী প্রজন্মের জন্য এই আমাদের যে রিনিউয়েবল এনার্জির জার্নিটা এটাকে আপনাদের উপস্থিতিতে আরও অনেক অনেক বেশি শক্ত করবে ধন্যবাদ থ্যাংক ইউ
আমরা আশা করব চেষ্টা করব আপনারা বারবার আসবেন রিনিউয়েবল ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করবেন উড়িষ্যাকে আর ভারতকে আগে নিয়ে যাবেন
थैंक यू दाजू
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ कि मुझे बुलाया गया है यहाँ पे और एक्चुअली मैं एक चीज़ बोलना चाहता हूँ जो मैंने अभी भी सुना था पीछे मिस्टर नारायण मूर्ति बोल रहे थे कि हमारे भारतीय इतिहास में पिछले 200 साल में कभी ऐसा मौका नहीं हुआ कि हम पूरी दुनिया हमें देख रही है कि हम एक देश हैं जो आगे बढ़ रहे हैं जो हमारा सर ऊपर है हर जगह हम जा रहे हैं लोग बोल रहे हैं इंडिया में कुछ अच्छा हो रहा है तो हमारी जिम्मेदारी और आप सबकी जिम्मेदारी है कि हम इस मोमेंटम को आगे लेके जाएं और यही मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ थैंक यू
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
आज समस्ते विश्वर सबू दूर दूर देशरू आसचंती आपण मानको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद बहुत आपण आज आसिकी जहाँ महाप्रभु जगन्नाथन को यही पवित्र भूमि रे आपण मानको उपरे सबुदिने महाप्रभु को आशीर्वाद रहू आपण मानको शुभेच्छा ओडिशा पाई रहू आउ एई भली सबुदिने ओडिशा प्रति सदिच्छा रखुथिबे आउ महाप्रभु को आशीर्वाद नउथिबे बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
दुई लाइन राजस्थानी भाषा रे कोई बे Thank you and I request all to come forward to take a group photograph. Thanks all the panelists and thank you all the participants and thank the audience.